Out of nowhere, Lomography has surprised us all with a brand new color negative film, LomoChrome Color 92. Of course, 1992 was the year that Lomography launched, and in the launch email for this new color film, there were lots of references to the 90s. Things like Nirvana, Game Boy, Criss Cross, and the Berlin Wall. And certainly looking at the sample images, the film does have a very nostalgic and retro feel, very grainy, sort of slightly muted colors, but nevertheless they do look nice and cool. So yeah, I was very intrigued. And when they said the film was in stock for immediate shipment, so I jumped on there straight away, ordered some rolls, and they arrived a few days later. I wasted no time loading it in my cameras, and I got out here in beautiful southeast Queensland and shot a few rolls of it. So the images you're going to see starting in about 60 seconds are from the Olympus Pen FT, but I also shot a roll of it in my Fujifilm Class S point and shoot, and I did a comparison between the Class S, which has Loma 92, and my Contax T3, which has regular Lomography Color 400 film. So that'll be a really interesting comparison coming up in a different video on this channel. Make sure you subscribe. And the third roll that I've shot was in my Fujifilm Natura. I rated the film at ISO 1600, and then I asked my lab to push it 2 stops to really test out if this film has got a lot of latitude or not. So this will be the first of 3 Lomo 92 videos I'll be doing this week. So we're going to dive on into the images in about 20 seconds. This is the camera I shot them on, the gorgeous Olympus Pen FT, one of my favorite cameras. I'm not a big fan of manual focus cameras because my eyes aren't very good, but I love this camera and I would never sell it. This is the Pen FT with the 40mm f1.4 lens on. Fantastic combination, and of course with half frame cameras on a roll of 36 exposures you get 72 images. So I find it absolutely fantastic for trying out new films. You get twice as many images to look at and sort of appreciate when you're trying something new. I sent my roll of film down to Ikigai Film Lab in Melbourne, and they processed the film for me, and they also did this lovely contact sheet. And as you can see here, really interesting to have a look at the contact sheet and look at the range of colors and hues of colors and the lighting here across the whole sheet before we dive in and have a look at the individual images. Okay, let's start with the images. Here we have a scene at Cleveland, not too far from where I live, and it's the Cleveland Lighthouse. This is an image I've taken quite a few times, and you can sort of get the lighthouse there with some foliage either side of it. And you've got a tree there on the top left. The greens look very dark in that, but the sun is directly on those other trees there. And the greens look really good, the blues look really good. The red there though, it just looks quite sort of, the saturation's been turned down, it looks like in the emulsion. It's not usually as bright red as it is on other films, which is kind of interesting. The next image is the lighthouse again, but it's overexposed by 1 stop. So it's interesting sort of comparison. I think I preferred the first image I showed you. I just wanted to see how extra light would sort of affect this film. The next image is around the corner at the Lighthouse restaurant, and they have these beautiful yellow and white sort of umbrellas outside. And I took a photo of this as a close-up. It looks a little bit underexposed here. Perhaps the very bright white and yellows of the umbrella fooled the metering in my Pen FT. Usually the Pen FT has got a pretty reliable meter in it. So yeah, it's probably a little bit dark there, and the shadows look a little bit grainy, but yeah, that's that film there. Next up is some barrels, not too far away again, and yeah, very sort of hardly any color in the image here, but it looks pretty good. Now we're over at Wynnum on Brisbane's Bayside. There was a beautiful sunset, and look at the sunset colors there. They're hardly noticeable. There's actually some really beautiful yellows and peachy sort of colors and pinks in the sunset, but it looks very sort of muted. The only real splash of color there is from that playground equipment. This is actually in the foreground there. That's actually like a sea bath, like a sea pool. But they drained all the water out for winter. Next up, we're in Brisbane City, and I was walking past somewhere like a shared working space, and I thought it looked really cool. So I decided to take a couple of photos here. And I took them at, one had a slightly longer shutter speed than the other. So this is the one with this longer shutter speed. I think I was quite good at holding the camera steady to get a good shot there. But you can sort of notice a few sort of blue speckles on the film there. Like, what is that? It's kind of interesting. And then the next one again, you can sort of see those blue speckles. They look a bit brighter on this one. I quite like it, but you can sort of see it's got very noticeable grain. Next couple of shots are also in Brisbane City. I was getting a coffee in this inside sort of indoor place of a building, and I walked into a courtyard and there was this sort of tree and these windows. It was kind of overcast this day and kind of muted conditions. The weather, it wasn't very bright, but yeah, I quite like this. I really like the greens here, and I think that's a nice photo. And the next one was indoors. When I was getting a coffee, I asked the people if I could take a photo of their coffee machine, and they said, of course. So yeah, here is the espresso machine. Looks like an Italian one. Beautiful greens here. Like, it is quite grainy. I think the shutter speed was maybe 1/30th of a second or something like that. But yeah, I really like the sort of very sort of minty greens in this image here. Now we're back at Cleveland again, and we're looking at some images in the suburbs. So I took 3 images at different sort of exposures, but they all looked very similar. So I'm just going to show you one. This is like a bush with flowers. I have no idea what kind of flowers they are. If you know, let me know in the comments. But I really like this photo. The colors look fantastic. The pinks and the reds look a little bit like the saturation's been turned down here, but the greens look beautiful and lush, and I think it's a really nice image. The next few are of a hills hoist, which is a clothesline. So there's some abandoned buildings in Cleveland. They're about to demolish, I would say. And in the backyard, there are clotheslines. So I went around and took some photos of the clotheslines because I like them. And the pegs look fantastic here, the blues and the greens and the yellows. The next image here, you've got some reds in the pegs there as well. And the pegs are faded, so it's not as if those pegs are bright red anyway. And the greens in the background look pretty lush. And then you've got a close-up of the Hills Hoist itself, like the Hills Hoist logo in the silver. And again, the silvers look really good on this film. Like the beer barrels look good, and then this silver Hills Hoist sort of logo looks good as well. A couple of more pictures of vegetation. We've got some beautiful leaves here with these yellow, spindly kind of sticks. I don't know how to describe them, but look at these. Look at how lush and green these are. They look really, really nice. I really like the colors there. And this next one, I was sort of shooting into the sun here. Reddy oranges of the flowers looks good. One last shot of Cleveland here is a building. Now this one looked a little bit underexposed, which was interesting. Maybe the bright white of the wall was fooling the Pen FT. Usually I get really good exposures with the Pen FT, so I'm not sure what happened there, but it does look a little bit underexposed, and there's a bit of grain there in the shadows as well. The next few are down at Wellington Point, another part of the Bayside. And the first one here I actually overexposed. There's a picture of Wellington Point jetty there, and I overexposed it by one stop, and it's kind of bright, you know, like I wouldn't say that overexposure is particularly fantastic with this film. If you look at the next exposure, that is what the camera recommended. So yeah, a bit of a comparison there. I mean, neither of them look bad. I'd say though, shooting it at the recommended camera's metering was better than overexposing by a stop. The next one again is of the jetty. I quite like that one, and the blues look really nice in that. This one though, the blues, I think I was facing a different way perhaps, and the blues look a lot more rich in here, the blues of the sea and also of the sky. And down the road there was these beautiful pink flowers. I'm a sucker for pink flowers. I love cherry blossoms, I love peach blossoms, love them all. So I had to take a photo of this tree. But yeah, it's kind of like grainy in the shadows here. It looks a little bit underexposed, perhaps the sky. The next image is of my beautiful son. I took this photo in the backyard as the sun was going down, and he looks great. His skin tones look great, so I'm really happy with this image. The blue of his shirt is perhaps not as bright as it actually is in real life, which is interesting. And just after this photo, actually, my son got a haircut because my wife is studying hairdressing. And guess who else got a haircut that day? Matt Loves Cameras. Now you may notice from the contact sheet, there's also quite a few images of my daughter on this roll of film. Because she's 15 years old, she would not let me use any of the photos. She said they all looked ooh and gross. She looks beautiful. I don't know what she's talking about. But out of respect for her, I decided not to use any in the video. The next 3 images are some backyard close-ups. So the first 2 is a lavender bush. And yeah, sort of looking at it sideways, it looks really nice. And also looking down on it. And the greens here in particular in that second image are just wonderful, and the purples look good as well. So yeah, it's got some really interesting color characteristics, this film. And here is a close-up of the beast, the pooch, the dog. He's looking very kind of, I don't know, pensive here. He's probably wondering where his dinner is. Next up, we have a mango tree by a fence in Cleveland. I have brightened that one in Lightroom a little bit for you. It looked a little bit underexposed, to be honest. I think there's probably a handful of images on this roll that just didn't look quite right. They weren't, the Pen FT's got very good metering. I've shot it recently with black and white film, with color film, and most of the exposures, almost all the exposures look fantastic from that built-in meter. This one here though, yeah, and some of the others on the roll, they looked a little bit underexposed. So yeah, is this a true ISO 400 film, or would you be better off shooting this at 250 or 320 or 200? The next couple are no different. We're here in Cleveland and the lighting was quite nice, but yeah, they just look a little bit dull here. There's one here of what I think is a banana tree in front of an old building, and then this sort of structure, the same place as like a structure, like a carport. Yeah, they both look like they've lost a little bit of magic there. They looked much better when I was actually taking the photo. The next two are of a church in Cleveland, and it was quite bright and the sun was quite nice. Again, it's kind of like someone's turned down the nice light here, because although the colors are fine, like the yellows and the greens look good, especially in that second photo there, they just don't look quite as, I don't know, vibrant as I remember the scene. So perhaps that's kind of like a characteristic of the film. It is that retro sort of nostalgic look that isn't really hugely bright and saturated. 3 photos to finish off my descriptions, and I've got another photo here of a green bush with some nice flowers. And then to finish off, I have 2 sunset shots. So I have one here of fence going into the water here at Raby Bay. It looks quite nice. But my favorite image on the entire roll, other than my kids, is this last image. So I was at the end of the roll here. I wasn't sure exactly if it was a last frame or not. And I took one image and then I wound it on. It started crunching a little bit. And I thought, oh no, I hope I don't pull the film off the canister. And I took another image and then rewound it. And as you can see here, it did a double exposure. I love this image. I think it's fantastic. I didn't mean to do it. The Pen FT has no inbuilt way for you to do a double exposure. And I think this is where the magic of this film is. I think if you're going to examine this film like you would, put it up against, say, Superior 400 or Kodak Gold 200 or Portra 400, I think you're probably going to be disappointed. However, if you look at this film as more of an experimental film, more of a lomography style film where you can experiment, have some fun, do some double exposures, stuff like that, I think that's where the magic of this film is for me. And certainly when I shoot more rolls of this film, that's what I'll be doing. In fact, I'm thinking about shooting a whole roll just as double exposures to see what they're like. So stay tuned and watch this space. If you're enjoying this video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment, and also make sure you subscribe to my photography newsletter, mattlovescameras.substack.com. Okay, so let's talk about the packaging for the film and also some clues on the box and the canister, and I'll also talk about where I think this film came from. So I'm gonna put my glasses on because I'm pretty blind. I think the packaging of the film looks absolutely fantastic. It's got these beautiful colors, beautiful images on the top here, on the front and on the side. And the foil, sort of gold, sort of metallic foil sort of packaging on the box looks absolutely brilliant. I really, really like it. And you've got this nice sort of 92 sort of, logo coming down here. It looks great. So there's a few things on here let's talk about. First of all, on the side of the box, it says Formula 2022. So that's really interesting. Lomography are well known for having different formulas of their films, like different formulas of turquoise or purple or metropolis. And yeah, on the side of the box here, it says Formula 2022. So that makes me think that perhaps in the future, there will be, new versions and new formulas of this film, which is really exciting. It does say ISO 400 on the side there as well, but like I said in the main video, is this a true 400 speed film? I'm not sure. I want to shoot a film at 320 or 200 and see what it's like. On the bottom, it says made in China. Okay, so that's one of the first things I looked for. It says made in China on the bottom there. But then when you look at it, it's actually a sticker. And when you peel that sticker away, underneath made in China, it says made in Germany. I'll talk about that in a couple of minutes, but that's very, very interesting. The production date on the bottom is 04/2023. The box is printed with soy ink, and there's some instructions in there on how to keep the film nice and cool and stuff like that. So when we open up the packaging here, we get this nice little white plastic thing here with the film in. Now I've got to say, this is a nightmare to open. Like, I'm used to opening Kodak, Fuji, all sorts of canisters. I actually can't open this one with my fingernails. It's extremely hard. So for example, here is the ADOX one. I can open that with one hand. This one, I can't even open with 2 hands. I feel like my fingernails are gonna pull back on themselves and cause me some kind of injury. So I've actually had to be opening these with a screwdriver or some scissors to get the lid off. So I'm not sure what's going on with the plastic containers there, but they are very hard to open. Now, when we actually do get the film out, here it is here. It looks fantastic. Look at that beautiful gold sort of label there. I think it looks really, really nice. I think they've done a fantastic job with the packaging and the colors and the branding on this film. On the right near the tail of the film here, it does say no DX code. Please adjust film speed manually in your camera. Another interesting thing about the canister that I didn't notice at first until I was really examining it is that it's plastic. It's not actually metal like, Kodak or Fujifilm's canisters. It is plastic. So that's really, really interesting. Now, I don't have any sort of preconceived ideas about what's better, a metal canister or a plastic canister. The only thing I'll say is this, is that in a couple of my cameras, it did kind of sound like it was crunching the film as it was winding it on. So the Olympus Pen FT was fine, but towards the end, it did sound like it was crunching, not just the last frame there where I had that overlap in the double exposure, but perhaps the last 3 or 4, it just sounded a bit crunchy. When I put it in my Fujifilm Natura, the Natura is a camera, a point and shoot camera, and it pre-winds the film. So instead of starting here like the Olympus Pen FT and going all the way out and then you rewinding the film, the Natura takes all the film out and then you shoot it back into the canister. And when I loaded it in the Natura, it didn't sound too good. In fact, I'm not sure I'm going to shoot another roll in the Natura because it was really quite crunchy. It didn't sound too good at all. In the end, it was fine. It shot the roll, no worries at all. Interestingly, it only gave me 33 exposures on my roll with the Natura, but with the other rolls I've shot in my Class S and also the Olympus Pen FT, I got the full 36 exposures or the 72 exposures with the Olympus Pen FT. Rumors are swirling on the internet about where this film could have come from, but of course it's pretty easy to sort of work out in my book because there's only so many players in this industry who can manufacture and coat color negative film in 35mm format. Of course, the first name that springs to mind is Kodak. Kodak have been making color negative film for decades and decades, and they continue to make films to this day, very high quality, fantastic films under their own name, but also for other companies. For example, the Lomography 100, 400 and 800 speed films are made in the USA. That is, they're made by Kodak. The second name that you think of when you think of color negative film in 2023 is Fujifilm. Are they still actually producing color negative film or not? No one really seems to have the definitive answer. A lot of people subscribe to the Fujifilm freezer theory. And if you want to find out more about that, make sure you check out this fascinating interview with Bellamy from Japan Camera Hunter right here on Matt Loves Cameras. I recorded it in January. It really is a fantastic interview and a great listen. So thank you once again to Bellamy for that. After Kodak and Fujifilm, there's really only one other set of companies in the world that have this ability to create and coat color negative film, and that is the cluster of companies from Germany that all have tied Agfa heritage. The history and the setup of this cluster of companies is complex, and quite honestly, I don't completely understand it, and it's quite apparent to me that a lot of other people don't understand it either, but here's what I know. The group of companies is commonly called Orwo, but when you look into it, the parent company is not called Orwo. Orwo is just a brand name that they use for some parts of the operation, including on boxes of film. And on those boxes of film, there are 2 stories. Orwo black and white films have the name Filmatech on them, made in Germany, whereas Orwo's color negative film NC500 has Innovascote on the box and the canister, made in Germany. So I suspect Innovascote are the company behind Color 92, but you might be wondering why Lomography films have a Made in China stickers covering up Made in Germany printed on the boxes. Great question. Here's what I think. Lomography have printed up the boxes thinking, oh yeah, well the film is made in Germany, we're going to put made in Germany on the boxes. But then when the film is sent to China to be put into the canisters, the Chinese are getting the film, putting it in the canisters. I don't know, but I'm going to guess that the boxing and the packaging, that's all made in China as well. Perhaps then it would qualify to be called made in China, or perhaps under world trade rules, who knows, they had to label it as made in China instead of made in Germany because the majority of the end process was done in China. So that's my guess. That's my guess as to why you have made in China stickers covering made in Germany on the Lomography Lomo 92 film. So that's it for my first review of Lomography's LomoChrome Color 92. I was really excited to see this film announced. I was really excited to shoot it. The results are interesting. There was a few images I was a bit disappointed with. They looked a little bit underexposed, which makes me think, is this a true ISO 400 film? So I'll probably shoot the next one at 320. And I'm also really excited to do, sort of more lomography style images with it, some double exposures and some more experimental stuff with toy cameras. So to me, that's where this film sits. It's not going to replace my stash of Fujifilm Superior 400 or Kodak Gold 200 or Ultramax. It's probably more in that more specialist, experimental toy camera, having fun kind of thing, which is what lomography is all about. I might even throw a roll in my original Lomo LCA as well. Don't forget that I'll be doing other Lomo Color 92 videos very soon. I'll be doing a comparison between Color 92 and Lomography's regular Color 400 film, and I've also shot a roll at ISO 1600 that I pushed to stops. So make sure you check out those as well here on Matt Loves Cameras.